Okay, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on when you're listening to this slide presentation for the CISCO Cyber Ops Tier 1, Level 1 SOC Analyst Training. So we've gone up to 19 modules in the series, and this is the 20th module, Threat Intelligence. So as SOC Analysts, Level 1, if we're going to be able to provide security for organizations and we are at the forefront of this defensive or offensive security team, we need to be able to learn how to gather intelligence. If we gather good intelligence, it then means that we'll be able to mitigate most of these attacks, either in an offensive manner or in a defensive manner. So this module talks about threat intelligence. How do you gather intelligence? How do you learn about these malwares, these viruses, these trojans, this ransomware? How do you know their patterns? How do you know how destructible they are? How do you know what their goals are? How do you know what their targets are? From these learnings, you're able to better protect your system because you now understand what the past is or what the past was, what the present is, and what the future holds for everyone. The objectives for this module is you should be able to describe information sources to communicate emerging network threats. Because threats are always going to be emerging, always going to be evolving. You want to be able to describe various threat intelligence services. There are so many of them. Information sources. So why do we need to understand this? What's it called? Why do we need to understand these threats? We need to be able to upgrade our skills. We need to be able to know the latest threats and see how that helps us to better protect our system. And one of the ways you can do them is subscribing to real-time feed regarding threats, perusing security-related websites, foreign security blogs and podcasts. SANS Institute Reading Room is one of my best, right? SANS Newsroom is one of my best, right? So please check it out, create an account and subscribe. And visit the site from time to time. You get to understand the latest trends in terms of threats. Network security has a very steep learning curve and requires a commitment to continuous professional development. Whether it's network, whether it's web, whether it's cloud, whether it's email, whether it's whatever, any type of security you want to go into, whether it's mobile, you should understand that it really has a steep learning curve. There's so much you need to do on your own end to be able to learn how to create networks, then secure them. Create web applications, then secure them. Create cloud infrastructure and secure them. Create email applications and secure them, or newsletter systems. Create mobile apps and secure them. But one advice I normally give to my students is that just get an idea about most of these things, right? Basic idea how to set most of them up. But pick an area and focus. For instance, I myself, my core areas are cloud, network, and web. These are my two core areas. This month, I'm going to be doing some upgrades. I'm doing some recertifications in cloud, right? So you want to pick an area and deep dive deep dive down into this area and develop core competence because cybersecurity is very wide and because most of these areas are professional and specialized areas on their own. So you want to have a grasp of most of them, but pick one or two areas and become a good developer or deployer in the areas. For network, for instance, you want to go very deep if you want to go into network security. If it's web, you want to go very deep into web so that you can actually get to a professional level in which area you have, the area you have interest in. Then you're able to provide security for that area. And it needs continuous professional development. It's not something you do in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months or in 1 year. You need to be pushing every step of the way. Okay, yes, you have it. Sans reading room, right? uh, Original research papers. That's one thing about them. Every month, every day, every other day, they have nice work that they publish on their site. You also have Mitra that has the common variability and exposures or common variability and exploits. They have it well documented. for routers, for switches, for web applications, for programming softwares, for open source applications, for devices, for several things. People need to be aware of the common vulnerabilities they have within their devices and platforms. Then you have first, Forum for Incident Response and Security Teams. You could check out this website, check out this website, check out this website, check every one of them. As much as makes sense to you, please register, subscribe, and keep abreast with most of this information. Security blogs and podcasts, threat intelligence services. So, but there are some organizations, there are some uh, uh, researchers, engineers that creates platform to service people that need threat intelligence. If you create a software, if you're a hardware developer like HP, Netgear, Cisco, and the rest, because your devices are what people are going to use to protect themselves and their organizations. What about if your devices don't have the latest signature and don't have the latest learnings on how to protect against this threat? You'll be creating devices and applications and softwares that are not going to actually protect people. So Cisco Talos is one of them, and it's one of the largest commercial threat intelligence team in the world, and it comprises of world-class researchers, analysts, and engineers. You can go to the Talos website and see how they collect information about active, existing, and emerging threats and provide details. That's the good thing about this threat intelligence. Most of them are open source. They also have some premium services. Are you there? They have some premium services. Okay, so that's what Cisco Talos does. Cisco Talos provides free services, software services, resources, data, and maintain the security incident detection rule set for SNOT, ClamAV, and SpamCov network security tools. Right, it's just because of the intelligence they gather. That's why these tools are able to function properly. I'm able to tell you when you have an attack. FireEye is another security company that offers services to help enterprise secure their network. So what they provide is just intelligence, provide details about attacks, how they operate, how to mitigate them. Right? So they have a SEM and a SOA, security information and event management, and the security operations, and I think something response. I think authentication and response. So the difference between these two guys is that this guy, not that it doesn't respond, it drop alert messages, tell you when you have vulnerability within your IT infrastructure, whereas a SAR will respond. These are high priced softwares, most times $3K above. Okay, so this FireEye. So you have automated indicator sharing. So this is provided by the US federal government. Then you have this. This is open source provided by Mitra Corporation. Just check out CVE, I think .org or so, or mitra.org. You will get to find the website that archives all of these, and each of these vulnerabilities have an ID number, have a name number, so that we can track. And if you use Virus Total, Sucuri, or some Virus Total, Sucuri, and several other tools to scan most of your, maybe your files, your networks, your not network, your files, your applications, and the rest, or softwares for vulnerability, because these two guys cannot scan network. They can only scan files, data, web applications, what else. So once they scan, if they see any vulnerability, they can, because of the intelligence, because of their database of most of these common vulnerability and exploit, they're able to detect and even give you the CVE number, an identifier for that particular vulnerability. Of course, you could look it up and be able to do more research on how to mitigate such attack. That's the beauty about threat intelligence. So you have some others. STIE, TAXII, CyberOps, quite a lot. Then types of threat intelligence data. This is very important. Now, indicators of compromise. Like when I was discussing, how do you know that you have a compromise? So what are those things that you see within your infrastructure that tells you, oh, you might have been compromised? So things like slow system, redirection, and several others. Then you have tools, techniques, and procedures. What are the tools you can use to mitigate such kind of attack? What are the techniques that you can employ, and what is the step-by-step process you need to follow in order to get back your system on track? Reputation information about internet destinations or domains. For instance, you get a mail from a website or from an email. MX tools, like we did in our digital forensic class, we'll be able to get you the IP address of that email. You can take that IP address and run some reputation management metrics on it. If you use Talos or use any of these sites for threat intelligence, it will tell you about the IP address, tell you who owns the IP address, tells you whether it has been involved in sending spam messages, it has been involved in several kind of stuff. It will give you full detail. It can be a domain name, it can be an IP address, it can be anything, right? So they help so to provide reputation. You want to know the reputation of that particular domain. That's why at times you get some emails and they go to your spam because the reputation of that particular email or that particular domain is low. So it's spammy. So most of the times, your Gmail, your Google, your regular control panel webmail stuff is going to see that email as that domain name as a compromised email address because of the antecedents, the history of that particular domain name. So that's why most of the times it will send it to your spam. But if it has a clean bill of health, right, based off its own threat intelligence, it will bring it sent back to your inbox. So everyone that uses or that creates softwares, create applications that are going to be used by every people all over the world, they will need to use threat intelligence to be able to secure their users. So that will be all for the threat intelligence module. Don't forget you have some homework here. You get back, you subscribe to most of those threat intelligence platforms like Talos, like CVE, and you want to make sure that you have regular updates on most of these threats. SANS, Mitre, First, Security Newswire, IC Squared, and CIS provide network intelligence. You want to keep abreast of most of these latest trends and continue to upgrade your skills. Very, very important. And what do you want to watch out for? Indicators of compromise, mitigation techniques. How do you want to be able to mitigate these threats that you are seeing? Okay, thank you very much. So that's going to be the end of the module 20, threat intelligence of the Cisco CyberOps module. Thank you very much.